Is the message of the Bible the same in all versions? That's sort of like asking if the message in any book is the same across all its translated versions, multiplied by about 1,000. It also depends on what you mean by the message. If we're boiling it down to the most basic themes, love your neighbor, be a good person, there is a God, etc., then yes, those broad strokes are going to be consistent across the myriad of translations. But let's dig a little deeper. As anyone who's dabbed a bit in languages can tell you, translation is not an exact science. It's an art. When translating from one language to another, there are always nuances, cultural contexts, idioms, and interpretations that get a little lost or changed in translation. Take, for instance, the King James Version versus the New International Version. The KJV was published in 1611 and has a lot of archaic language that can be difficult for the modern reader to understand. Conversely, the NIV seeks to put scripture into more contemporary English. This attempt to modernize the language can sometimes alter the perceived meaning of a verse or section. In more liberal translations like the Message Bible, the text is highly paraphrased, which can lead to even more significant departures from the original text's perceived meaning. Now, if you've ever been to a Bible study class, in my case back in Portland where I'm from, you'd know that there's also a lot of discussion about the different manuscripts and sources these translations are based on. Some versions are translated from what's considered to be older, more original manuscripts, while others come from later versions. Another wrinkle in the fabric is denominational bias. Some translations are crafted with a certain theological bent to support the doctrines of that particular faith. It's subtle, but certain words or passages could be translated in a way that emphasizes points critical to a certain belief system. The bottom line? Yes, all Bible versions are trying to convey the same foundational messages that have been taught for millennia. But the choice of words, the way sentences are structured, the emphasis on certain passages over others, and myriad other small details can lead to a reading experience that feels very different from one version to the next. If you're looking to get in touch with these scriptures, decide first what you're comfortable with. Are you wanting a direct translation, something more interpretive, more poetic? There's likely a version out there that caters to what resonates with you. And if you're really looking to get to the core, compare versions, or even better, explore it with a group that dives into the history and context behind the texts. It's a fascinating endeavor, whether you're approaching it from a spiritual, historical, or literary angle. And hey, you might find that, like Portland rain, it seeps into you in unexpected ways.